I was looking through my, you know, the little analytic thing that they have on YouTube, looking through some of the stats on my videos, and noticed that the ones that tend to have the most views are those that have to do with junk journals. So I don't know, you know, if that's just a coincidence or if junk journaling is still trendy. You know, I don't know. I don't keep up. I just do what I like. But anyway, it's been, I think, at least about 6 months since I really talked a lot about finding stuff to put inside junk journals, so I thought I'd better do that again. If you want to see the last one I did, it was back in, I think, September. You can just scroll back through the videos and look for it, and I showed some stuff that I picked up for journals when I was out shopping. And today I thought I'd show some of the stuff that has come into my house for free, because, you know, I'm all about free. These are some of the journals that I've been making recently. I'm fixing to do a little craft show. Actually, I'm going to do several. But the first one I have coming up is in April. And I've been making these little journals just with, you know, notepads and junk mail and stuff. They're really easy, really fun. You know, I wanted some little books that I could try to sell for, you know, maybe $10 each. So I'm hoping that I can get maybe that much for these. I don't know. We'll see. But they're just full of my favorite kinds of junk. And then this one, I did that video just yesterday. So let me show you some of the junk mail that I've collected that has come to the house, and I'll show you what I look for and what I keep. One thing I almost always keep is envelopes, because I like having envelopes in my journals, because you know, you can tuck things in them. You can glue them into your journal. You can bind them in. You know, it's really easy to just use that crease they already come with and make, you know, put that into the binding. But I keep all different kinds. And I have bins in my art room for all these things, and my rule is, you know, I designate a bin for it, and then once that bin is full, that's it. I don't go get a bigger bin to hold more envelopes or whatever. If my envelope bin is stuffed full and I can't get any more in it, then I don't collect any more envelopes. That means that I'm obviously collecting more than I'm using, and I need to stop. So that's my little, my weird little way that I keep myself from hoarding too much, you know, because I do want to eventually use my stuff, and I don't want it taking over my house. So I've got quite a few envelopes saved up, but I still got a little bit of room in my bin. So as my junk mail comes in, I go through it and I collect various envelopes. These are some that come out of catalogs or magazines, and some of them still have the order forms attached, and I leave them attached because, you know, that's just a good fold out for your journal. So I keep those. I keep the really colorful ones. I mean, just about all of them that come in catalogs and magazines. Some of them, I think I got that in I bought a grab bag or something at a thrift store, and those were in there. Most of the rest of these are either from, you know, Discover's constantly trying to give me one of their cards, and they'll make it easy by sending these in, so I keep it. And that's one thing you have to do if you really want to collect a lot of junk mail. You got to open all your junk mail. And before I started collecting it, you know, when junk mail came to the house, I would immediately toss it out without opening it. And, you know, if you don't need to collect junk mail, that's a really good thing to do. Toss it, you don't even need to see it. But if you want to collect junk mail, open all of it, because you never know if there's an envelope or just a little something in there that you're going to want to keep. So I open it all. Sometimes, excuse me, I will get, you know, paper bills for my household bills, but then I'll pay it online. So I have the return envelope that I don't use. So I will keep that. And then, you know, others just come in for no reason. They're just truly junk. But these are really easy to collect, and they'll add up in no time. So, those are the kinds of envelopes that I look for and keep. And when I'm opening the junk mail, I've noticed, okay, I get a lot of these. I really don't even know what they are because I don't really read it. I just pull this thing out. I think they're trying to get me to go on a trip or something. And these weren't even addressed to me. They were, I guess, previous owners of the house or whatever. So I covered them up. But it's some kind of, you know, it's junk mail. It's a travel thing. I don't even know what. But these are cool. These are fun. These would be fun. They're like little fake boarding passes, and they'd be fun in a journal. So I keep these. And these are the kinds of things where if I had not opened that piece of junk mail, I probably would not have known these are in there. So I always open it just to see if there's anything interesting, and sometimes there is, sometimes there's not. Oh, and this one is not a junk mail, but it's something that's easy to keep your excuse me, easy to keep an eye out for, and that is these paper placemats and menus. This one's from the House of Pies here in Houston, which is just awesome, and I think it's time that I revisit them because I might need another placemat or two. But I always pick these up. They're a really good size because they're usually, you know, they're larger than your average sheet of paper, so they make a good journal cover. And that's what I used on this one. It was my paper placemat from Buca di Beppo. So keep an eye out for these kinds of things. I also save a lot of postcards. This seems to be the trend in direct mail marketing nowadays, and that's these big glossy postcards because I get an awful lot of them, like at least 2 or 3 a day. I don't keep every single one of them, and I'll tell you what I look for. Occasionally I will keep, I call these magazine droppings, you know, these little subscription things that fall out when you open the magazine. I'll keep a few of those. But I love these, and I don't know if you can tell how heavy and thick and glossy this is. And I'm starting to see a lot more of these now, usually in the smaller size because I'm sure they're pretty pricey. But I look for heavy stock, glossy finish I like. You know, that's not really necessary, but usually if it's the glossy ones are the heavier ones because the coating does add weight. So this is what I look for in postcards, just heavy stock. Jerry's Artorama, this one is not as heavy as this one, but this is still a good heavy postcard. If you get on Jerry's mailing list, you can probably sign up online, and you should really be shopping there anyway because they, I don't know about how expensive their shipping is, and they only have a few, well, I say a few, I don't know how many, but they don't have like stores all over the country. They've got some in a few places. There's one here in Houston, and I'm telling you, you cannot get cheaper art supplies than you can at Jerry's, especially their golden products. And I don't know if their online prices are the same as in the store. I would think they would be, but they had for several months, all of their golden products were like stupid cheap. So, yeah, get on Jerry's mailing list, and if you need art supplies, check them out, because this is where I buy most of my art supplies when I need, you know, art supplies that you can't get at a craft store or, you know, junk shop. So heavy postcards is what I look for. Let's see, more droppings. Some of these, you know, I really should resubscribe to Fast Company. That's another one that I like. I don't subscribe to a lot of magazines. In fact, I subscribe to 2. Texas Monthly and National Geographic, and that's it. But I will occasionally, you know, pick up a magazine when I'm out, if I'm in the mood But I don't like having a lot of them come to the house because they tend to stack up, and I don't like that. You know, it's obviously I get a lot of good junk without having tons of magazine subscriptions, so it's just unnecessary. To me, it's just a waste of money. I tend to let them stack up. I won't read them regularly, so I don't subscribe. I just pick them up on occasion when I want, except for those two. Sorry. I also look for brochures when I'm out and about. You know, all kinds of businesses give away free brochures, and I'll look for the heavy stock ones because, you know, those are the ones that hold up well in journals. Anything with a kind of a fold out like that is always fun because then you get, you know, different size options. And I like big postcards. Sometimes, you know, you get a regular card thing that's a good heavy weight. So these are the kinds of things that I look for. Lots of CVS. They send, I guess at least once a week I get one of these things. And I'm seeing a lot more of these bigger ones like this. Let's see. They're, you know, that, I mean, that's good size. That's just a journal cover on its own right there. And then a lot of these, especially this company, this Driver's Auto Repair, it's a chain. If you have one of these in your area, get on their mailing list too. Because they send out full-size, that's not the same, but they tend to send out these full-size, heavyweight advertising cards. And this one is not even as heavy as some of the other ones that they send. But get on Driver's Auto Repair's mailing list if you want to get their good postcards. So I keep those in my postcard bin and save them for when I need them, and those are the kinds of things I look for. And out of the magazine, oh, let me show you this too, because this is also, these come to the house. I keep this little this little thing with cards in it, and these are junk mail cards that come in. You know how Kohl's will send you those, I usually don't keep the flyer, but it's usually like a little booklet, maybe 2 or 3 pages, and there's always some kind of little card in there, like these, a little discount card. I'm going to choke to death. Hang on a minute. I'm still recovering from whatever crawled up my nose. Okay, so anyway, they send these, and I never remember to use them. I really should, because I rarely shop for clothes, but when I do, I like to go to Kohl's because they have really good sales. But I never remember to use my card. But any kind of little cards, you know, they're always sending you these little things. Some of them are paper, and some are plastic. I keep them. I don't know why I'm keeping them, but I just know that someday I'm going to need them, and I'm going to say to myself, oh my gosh, I am so glad I kept all of those. I just know that's going to happen. So any little thing like that, I think that was a bookmark or something, I stick it in here. And you know what, I have actually used a couple of these. I used them as a base for a tag. I was making some tags, and I wanted them pretty sturdy. So I just covered them with decorative paper, you know, and did my thing to it, poked a hole in the top, trimmed the edges, and then there was my tag. So it does make a good sturdy base for a tag or a small something. So I keep those. Now out of magazines, whether it's the ones that come to the house or ones that I pick up when I'm out, I tend to look for specific things. I never ever keep the whole magazine, because they will take over your house worse than wire hangers, I swear to you. You'll turn around one day and your house will be just completely covered in stacks of magazines and clutter. And I can't stand that. I can't breathe when there's clutter like that. So I just pull out what I want. I'll keep the magazine around I may even keep it for a couple months. But after that, I'll look through it and it's gone. I will look through, I didn't bring it up here, but I do, flip through, and one of the things I look for is letters, like these. I'll look for, like the titles of articles and advertisements, and on the cover where they have big enough letters that I can cut out to use for these ransom note letters that I like to use a lot. So I have, if I find a big title on a page that I want to cut out, I cut it out, and then I have a binder upstairs that I put it in. But I always pull out the perfume and cologne samples, because these are good in journals. They've got the little thingy where, sometimes I'll fold it in half and bind it right there so that this opens up and it's a fold out, or sometimes I will just bind it on a little thing, whatever. But these are fun to put in. I like them not only because of the little flap, but they make your journal smell good. So there's that. And I usually open them up, and then I'll either rub them on me or something else before I bind them in, so that it's not too strong, because some people are sensitive to smells. I want just a slight fragrance, not an allergy-causing cloud coming out of your book. But I save these little ones, and if you don't have access to a lot of these, and I'm sure you can probably do it online, go online and get on Ulta, on their mailing list, because they will send pretty regularly. I don't think it's weekly, maybe every other week, they'll send a little sale booklet to your house, and there's usually at least 3 or 4 of these in there, in the little Ulta sale book. So that's a good free way to get some of these. And then, of course, out of your regular magazines, I pull them out. Usually I pull the whole page out, and then sometimes I'll cut them down. I think there's one in here. Yeah, that was a full page one at one time. Sometimes I'll cut them down and just use part of it, and sometimes I use the whole page. But anyway, I do keep all of the little perfume ads. Some magazines, Lucky is one that I can think of, and there's a couple more. Oh gosh, what was I looking at the other day? I was looking through something the other day, and it had a ton of stickers in it, but it wasn't my magazine. Was it a doctor's office? Anyway, I don't know. I felt guilty about pulling the stickers out, so I didn't steal them. But some magazines do have little fun sticker things, so I pull those out and keep them. James Avery sends advertising catalogs to the house pretty regularly, and they're not always, but a lot of the times they're printed on a good heavy stock. This is a heavy paper, not really a card stock, but I like it. It's a good weight, good glossy finish. Same with this one. I didn't keep the inside part of this magazine, or this, whatever it was, because the inside papers were just flimsy, regular magazine pages, and I don't have any use for those unless they've got something else on them that I want. But I do keep the covers. So a lot of the times I'll just keep the covers of catalogs or flyers, because they're good and heavy. And even if I don't like the picture on them, I'll paint over them, because you can just slap acrylic paint straight onto this. You don't have to gesso it or anything. So I look for those. Dodge always has some good advertisements that they send out. Nice heavy glossy things. And those are just some more covers of catalogs and magazines that are nice and heavy. And sometimes in a magazine, they'll have an advertisement that's on a heavier weight paper than the rest of the magazine, and I will pull those out. And I do tend to pull out faces, eyes and faces. Sometimes I will use the actual image on the magazine, and other times I'll just use this nice heavy stock to paint over. So, you know, I've got options there. And that's what most, excuse me, that's what most of these are, is options. Like this one, this was the Land of Nod, and this was a pretty, not extremely heavy paper, but I love this, the colors here, and this image, I love this. I may actually just use that image on something. So some of these are for the empty. Look at her pretty eyes. I'll probably just cut out her eyes for something at some point. I like those colors. I like that. Sometimes it's the image, sometimes it's just the color, and then sometimes it's the paper. This one is in the wrong stack because I saved it for the letters to use for my, you know, ransom note letters. So I need to put that in the binder where it goes. But that's what these are. That one is just, I don't know, it's too awesome to even cut up, I'm afraid. I might just keep it forever just cause. But there's just some more faces. This was another, oh look, I can't cut that up. Look, that is just some awesomeness. So, but if I do, it's nice and heavy. So these are not really in any particular order. They aren't organized. They're just kind of there. The only magazines that I tend to keep full and not, you know, just pull out what I want, well, they're catalogs, really. I like Tom's shoes. I like the look of the magazine, the imagery in it, the texture of the paper, and they're not very thick. Well, it's a catalog, really, not a magazine. So I will keep maybe 2 or 3 Tom's Shoes catalogs. Same thing for Urban Outfitters. I might keep a couple of those on hand, in Anthropology. But I won't keep more than 2 or 3, you know, because any more than that, that's just a sign I need to use them up. So, those are examples of easy, mostly free stuff that you can get. And let me show you what I picked up the other day. Well, this came to the house. This is another one that I'll sometimes keep whole, and it's Madewell. You can go to madewell.com and get on their mailing list, and they'll send you their catalog. And sometimes they have cool pictures in it, but what I really like about this is the pages are a decent weight. They're not coated and glossy. They're just paper. But look how big they are. Can you tell how big? That's just an oversized catalog. And, you know, that's great for bigger stuff. So I almost always keep the Madewell. I'll keep 2 or 3 of those. We were out the other day at a Chinese food, well, it was actually at Annie Chang's dumpling house here in Houston. They have the best dumplings. They really have the best Chinese food, just period. Their fried rice is amazing. But sometimes at restaurants, they have racks of, you know, a lot of them are like those real estate magazines and like shopping, you know, like a Thrifty Nickel or whatever those little, you know, junk classified magazine things are. But they'll sometimes have really cool things. This one I found on Annie Chang's rack. It's called Yellow, and it's so big I don't even think I can get the whole thing in my frame. But it is it's a magazine about Asian culture and fashion. But look how huge it is, and it's got thick glossy pages, but then it also has some really neat images in it. You know, I mean, it's actually kind of cool. I'd never seen this one before, so I took 2. There were several, you know, thought it'd be okay. So look for these free magazine things on those racks at restaurants. You can find cool stuff. And these were postcards I got at the same restaurant on the racks. And They're really heavy, awesome. And some of them, see, like this one was for October 2012. So I took several of them because it's already passed. It's not a valid postcard anymore. But these are usually really good, high-quality advertising postcards. It's usually about some kind of local gallery or museum or whatever. And so look for those. And they come in all sizes. And, I mean, this is just awesome, thick, heavy stock. And some of them have, you know, cool pictures on them. And others I will just use for a base for something. Wow, that's just good paper. So, anyway, keep an eye out for those. This one is you can go to different typography and font websites and get on their mailing list. This one is houseindustries.com. Another good one is Veer, V-E-E-R. And some of them won't send to just an individual. You know, you have to be like a graphic design professional. Okay, House Industries wasn't too picky because they sent me this. But they will send you, I think House is just fonts, but it's this whole book of just examples of the fonts that they sell. So it's just got tons of cool typography, and they're always really well designed and, you know, just make really cool backgrounds or whatever. And Veer does not only typography, but they also have stock photos. And I used to get their flyers all the time. Sometimes they'd send a big poster that had examples of their stock photos on it. So look for that too. Go online and look for companies that sell stock photos and fonts, and see if there's any that are willing to send you some of their free catalogs, because they're great. And I don't really feel bad about asking for them and then not buying their stuff, because I'm going to use this in junk journals and things, and whoever I send it to might actually see it and go, oh, I think I'll buy that font. So, you know, it's just, I look at it as helping them to spread their advertising. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's what I do. So, that is all I have for today. So go through your junk mail, pull out the things that you want to use. Don't let it accumulate and stack up. Don't save the whole magazine. You know, don't let it take over your house. Limit yourself to a certain amount, and then create some awesome junk journals with it. Okay, I guess it's awkward ending time because I can't think of anything else to say. Alright, bye.